You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology. Welcome, everybody, today to the show. We have a very special guest, is Art Sobczak, author of Smart Callilng. When you think about prospecting over the phone, business development, and getting more sales, there's nobody better than Art. Art, thanks for being a part of the show today.
Well, thank you, Doug. My pleasure, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. And screen-to-screen selling is heavy on the technology, but let's forget about that for a minute because, if we don't have some of the fundamentals skills in place, sometimes that technology can work against us. You wrote the book on Smart Calling, and I know a lot of people think about cold calling. Tell us what Smart Calling is and how it's different from those traditional cold calls that salespeople fear.
Sure. Well, let's define cold calling. Cold calling is calling somebody that you don't know, who doesn't know you, who's not expecting your call, and everybody's getting the same pitch. And sadly, people today are still placing these cold calls. Today, we have more information available to us at any time in history, actually too much information, and it's very easily accessible. So there's absolutely no reason why a salesperson shouldn't know something about the people, the organizations, and the situations that he's calling into, he or she, so that we can make our calls relevant and focused and targeted to that individual, so that we can generate some interest. I mean, let's face it, people today are busier than ever. They don't have time to talk to most people, and that's why most messages are ignored. And the ones that have any chance of actually being paid any attention to, and the salespeople who have any chance of getting through, are those who have a focused message that is relevant to that individual right at that moment in their lives. And that's what Smart Calling is all about. So basically, it's just combining sales intelligence with good sales messaging in order to connect, get in, get through, and sell.
Yeah, one of the things that I liked about your book is you emphasize scripts and how important scripts are. And I know that, when you get in the moment, we may think, well, let's just try to wing it. Even though we might have some good intelligence, we might just try to wing it by starting a conversation, hey, how you doing? What are some of those mistakes that, somebody can make going in without even knowing, what they're doing?
Well, yeah, let me just address the script word first. Many times when salespeople hear the word script, they think, ooh, it's not me, it's not natural, it's not conversational, it sounds canned. Well, we want to look at a script the way an actor looks at a script, not the way a telemarketer reads a script, okay? And really what a script is the correct combination of words to use that will elicit the audience response we're looking for, just like with actors. And really, if you have the opportunity to prepare something before you say it, why in the world wouldn't we? And I can only think of two reasons. One is somebody's too lazy, and the other is they don't know what to say, okay? Because if you're going to write an article for a trade publication that everybody was going to read and make you a rock star in your industry, you wouldn't turn in your rough draft. So if somebody just picks up the phone and starts winging it, what did they just turn in? The rough draft, right? So if we can prepare something in advance, why wouldn't we? So the opening statement, the voicemail message, and our initial questions all should be prepared in advance, but they've got to sound conversational, just like you and I are talking right now. So your second half of the question, some mistakes. Oh gosh, I got, I think, 28 of them in the book, but here's the major ones. Yeah. First one is not having anything of interest or value. So for example, if I called you up and said, hi, Doug, Art Sobczak here with Business by Phone, and I'd like to talk to you about my Smart Calling prospecting training, and let me tell you all about it. The thing is, you'd probably start laughing at me and saying, well, wait a minute, I'm in sales training as well, and you didn't even do any research on me. And let's see, I haven't gotten that call since a couple days ago, actually. So it's not having any interest or anything of possible value and not having done our research. Here's another huge mistake that a lot of salespeople make, and that is going for a decision or even hinting at a decision right at the beginning of a call, such as, Hi, Doug, Art Sobczak here, Business by Phone. I'd like to invite you to a webinar. I'd like to come out there and take 15 minutes of your time. Or I'd like to talk about becoming one of your vendors. I mean, we're asking for a decision. I mean, it's too early for a decision. And I kind of compare that to somebody going up to somebody else in a bar that they don't know, saying, hey, I think I'm a pretty cool guy. Want to go on a date? That question, it might be the ultimate result, but if you hit somebody with a decision too early in the first 10 seconds, that is just going to cause resistance. So really, all we're trying to do in the first 10 seconds of a prospecting or a smart call is two things. Number one, put them in a positive, receptive frame of mind, and then just move them to the interactive questioning part of the call. And so those are the two major mistakes. No value, asking for a decision right away.
No, that's really good. And I would imagine when you add on the technology component to that, there's a complex sale, let's say business to business sale, might typically require, 10 different meetings in order to be able to build trust over time. Obviously, you can use phone to be able to do that. Well, how would a salesperson make, let's say, a transition from having good meetings over the phone to, let's say, a screen-to-screen conversation where they can demonstrate their expertise a little bit more through some of the screen share applications?
Well, let me back up 20 years or so when the internet was first. I think this internet thing's going to catch on, by the way. So when the internet first came out, of course, I'm a dinosaur. I mean, we had to mail people information, right? Then this thing called the fax came out. It's like, oh my gosh, now we can add this visual component that's more instant. Then, of course, we've got the internet, which facilitated the ability to have some instant visual communication. Today, what we're able to do over the phone and with screen to screen and all of the different applications available to us, I mean, it is absolutely mind-blowing. But here's the thing. A salesperson who stinks is still going to stink with technology, except more so. And what happens today is that people try to get technology involved and force it too early. Technology is a tool that is facilitating the sales process and a sales conversation where we're hoping to potentially deliver some value. But in order to deliver some value, we first have to engage somebody in a conversation, identify some needs, problems, pains. And even if we already have some idea of what they might be interested in, the thing is, they're not ready for it yet. So if I called you up and said, hey, Doug, Art Sobczak here, Business by Phone, if I caught you at a good time, I'd like to go through a little screen share presentation with you. I'd like to show you some videos and show you some of our capabilities. It's like, well, wait a minute. They see no reason to stay on the phone with me, let alone make the commitment to go to their computer and get engaged, right? Now, on the other side of the coin, if I can engage you in a conversation, I can ask you some questions, you're showing some interest, we're engaging. Then when it comes to the point of what I call the sales recommendation part of the call, some people like to call it presentation, but I like to use the word recommendation because what has to come before a recommendation is discovery, needs analysis, right? So when it comes time for the recommendation, I might say, I'll tell you what, the very best way for me to explain what I'm going to be talking about here and what you have some interest in is for us to get together on a little screen share here. Are you at your computer? Well, great. I'm going to show this to you because it's just going to blow you away. So now I've got this wonderful tool or any of these tools, and you have all these in your upcoming book that, of course, people definitely should invest in. And then what we're able to do is to facilitate this conversation and make it more impactful because now we're adding the visual aspect. Plus what we're doing is we're getting more of a commitment from somebody because now they're doing something instead of just idly listening or in some cases not listening, being present, right? Now we have them doing something. So we're engaging. And so that's when it should take place. I mean, technology is a tool. I'm the least handy male you'd ever want to meet. And I mean, I could go to Home Depot and I could buy all kinds of tools, but I'm still going to hurt myself.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned two things that really stuck out. One was building the trust up enough through probably questioning, listening, needs analysis. And then second is the actual language used to sell the idea that our screen share is going to be a benefit to them because it is extra work.
Yeah. Yeah, again, they have to see some value in moving to the next step of the process, whether that be just listening or, in this case, getting physically and visually involved. And now when I can get somebody to do that and have someone who's interested and not just sitting there, but now they're leaning forward. I mean, they're leaning forward. It's like, wow, I can't wait to see this because there's a payoff for them.
Yeah, great. Well, what would be one last final recommendation that salespeople need to either stop doing right now or start doing right now, or maybe looking a couple years ahead, what they should keep an eye out on the horizon as far as, the technology starts to transform?
Well, I really just go back to the basics. And that is, before every single call, simply putting yourself in the position of the person you're calling and thinking, if I were this person, what would I want to possibly hear as it relates to my type of product or service? So in other words, what pain might they be experiencing? What problem might they be experiencing? What kind of trigger event is going on in their world that I might be able to at least hint at the beginning of my call in order to engage somebody in a conversation? So then really what that leads us into is actually doing the research. And sometimes people will say, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do all this research because I have to place a lot of calls. Well, the thing is that you don't have time to not do the research. The thing is that sales is not a numbers game. I mean, the casino is a numbers game because they'll predict how much you're going to lose based on how long you stay and how much you're spending. But selling is a quality game. Now, it doesn't have to take that long for us to put in the extra 1 or 2 minutes, and again, depending on what you're selling, it might take more time, but we can definitely systematize our research. It doesn't take that long to go to Google, type in somebody's name, the company name, and that's going to lead us to a LinkedIn profile. It's going to lead us to maybe some other social media profiles. Then I might hit on something that is really going to give me a gold mine of information. If it doesn't, okay, I move on. And here's the other thing. It takes about, depending on whose numbers you're looking at, 5 to 10 attempts to actually reach somebody by phone if you do it all. We're not having to do the research 5 to 10 times. We do it once, then we put it all in our notes. And then here's the other suggestion for people worried about how much time it takes. Don't worry about the time it's taking you to do the research. Worry about the time that you're frittering away the rest of the day on all these other activities that are not helping you to produce revenue.
True. Very true. Well, Art, you've definitely given a lot of good answers to probably questions that some of the listeners just haven't even thought about before. And so I highly recommend everyone going out, getting the book, Smart Callilng, if they haven't already. It's helped me significantly in asking questions and creating scripts. And Art, you've been a great mentor and person to be able to follow with everything. So I really appreciate you taking time to be a part of the show today.
Doug, again, my pleasure. And if people are interested in the book, go to this site, because if you get it, we have $99 worth of video training that you can get for free for buying a $10 book, and it's smart-calling.com. Smart-calling.com.
So we'll go ahead and put that on the website for everybody. Have a great day.
You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show, hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology.
That's another reason to join early. Well,
if you're familiar with Google Plus, have a bit of Hangout, or even like Join.me and some of the other screen sharing things I've seen.
Oh, congratulations!